Hey there, hey ladies, what's up? What's up? We are back and I cannot wait. I've got a juicy interview and it's all about the gut with gut health expert Lisa Chestnut. She's with us today and we're really talking all about how a healthy gut really does lead to a healthier, thriving life. So let me just quickly introduce our guest for today, and then I'm going to give you a little backstory about how we met, and then I'll let Lisa take it over with her story. So this, of course, is gut health expert Lisa Chestnut. I've known her for a while now. She is like my savior when it comes to getting my gut in check. And how I met Lisa, what would you say? It's been almost a year, maybe? Maybe not quite. So let me take you back a couple of years ago, ladies. I'd always had poor digestion, and meaning poor as in like I was going to the bathroom like number two, like maybe once every 9 to 12 days. Like I couldn't even remember. Had you asked me 3 years ago, like, well, when did you go to the bathroom last? And I'd be like, I don't know. And if I have to think about it, it's probably too long, right, Lisa? So yeah, my digestion my entire life has been terrible. It's been in the dumps, really. I've always had some major skin issues with eczema and itchy eyes, and I just had no idea, right, what it was all about. My hair at one point was starting to fall out. Like I had, some bald spots going on. My eyebrows were damn near gone off my face. And I was just experiencing tons of symptoms that I had no idea where they were coming from, like none whatsoever. And I know you guys, most of you have heard my health transformation on how I've truly bossed up and lost 90 pounds by building healthy habits that don't just support they didn't just support my weight loss. They supported like a lifelong, like setting me up forever, right? Because we don't just want to lose the weight and feel great and thrive. We want that forever. We want to be able to sustain that. And I remember walking into my nutritionist one time. He was like, Carissa, I don't know why, you're not seeing the results. I was really trying to lose a lot of body fat at that time, and it was probably about 6 years ago. And he's like, you've been doing so good, but I don't know why. Like, I don't know why you're staying stuck. And he asked me the simple question, and it was kind of embarrassing coming from a guy, right? He's like, well, when's the last time you went to the bathroom? And I'm like, I hate to admit this, Matt, but I really go like once every 2 weeks. And he was like, what? Like he said, stop everything that we're doing. And he gave me these cleansing pills, right? He's like, these are magical pills, and I want you to take them and for a couple of weeks, and I want you to then see what you come back and you weigh at. And he's like, I can't wait. You're going to weigh so much less, right? Long story short, those pills, yeah, they worked. And I went to the bathroom at first, but like they made my stomach hurt and like long term, and it was just not sustainable, right? I was like, okay, I can't have this. And I had to drink it with like so many ounces of water and blah blah blah. Like there was just so many rules to it, and it was complicated, and I was like, okay, I can't handle, and they were super expensive. So then I was like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna go back. And I started making up stories in my head for the longest time, because I was like, well, like pills don't help me, all these different shakes and things that I'm supposed to drink. Like I could have had a whole bar candy bar, like an X-Lax bar, and I still wouldn't have gone. Like I just thought, honestly, Lisa, that was me. And at the time, my body fat was so low because I was going from like 12 to I was trying to get down to like 8 to compete. And I just thought, I was like, God, I'm just burning all this food. Like, I don't even need to go. Like, I was making all these crazy stories up for why I wasn't going to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, I just don't have enough food left in me to go. And that's just never the case. But to bring it kind of full front on really how I met her is in 2019. I was tired of all the doctors telling me all the different things that were wrong with me. None of them were linked to like one specific thing. They're like, oh, you're losing your hair. Well, it's just because you're getting older. Oh, you don't go to the bathroom. Oh, it's just because that's who you are. Right. Like all of these things were like just compiling on. And I was like, I'm not settling for this. Like, there's got to be something else. So I seeked out a holistic medicine doctor, and lo and behold, I lit up like a red flag, like a Christmas tree. And he's like, you have Hashimoto's. And I was like, oh, what the heck is Hashimoto's? I was like, what's another thing that I have? Because, you know, when you have eczema from head to toe and your eyes are itching, like I was taking eye steroids, I was putting steroid creams all over my body just to get rid of the redness. I was taking, again, supplement after supplement and pill after pill just to try and go to the bathroom. My hair was just, I was like, biotin, 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 all these things. And this doctor finally was like, you have Hashimoto's. It's a thyroid disease. You're never going to get rid of it. But thank goodness that you've lost the weight, because you've done so much of the work that's going to help you really, you know, like just start living a healthier life. But you're always going to have these symptoms. I'm like, okay. So he, of course, then started telling me like no gluten, no dairy, no eggs, like all of these things that I'm like, what? You're now taking my awesome diet away from me? Like, and so long story short, I was on about 15 different medications, right? Supplements after galore. I took maybe 8 to 12 different supplements at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And again, at first, it worked. Like everything first works. And then all of a sudden it stops working. And I'm like, what? And he's like, just up the dose, up the dose. And to the point where I was spending over $350 on supplements just to get me to go to the bathroom. Like literally, I was like, all of this to go to the bathroom on top of like shoving extra fibrous foods down my throat. And it was just, it wasn't working. And I was so frustrated that I went onto this health group Facebook page because I knew I could find some help with other health experts. And I'm like, listen here, ladies, I've got a bad digestive issue. I'm on all kinds of supplements. I have Hashimoto's, like, oh, right. And I was like, this poor me story. And I was like, if you have a solution, let's chat. And so many women reached out, of course, but I fell in love with Lisa because she didn't just offer supplements. She offered support and guidance. And she hopped on the phone with me and she was like, let's talk about your problems, right? Like, let's get down and dirty with your gut health. And I was like, I don't know anything about this. I'm a health coach. How do I not know about this stuff? And so that's how I met Lisa. And she's like, hey, this is what works for me. This is what works for my clients. And my clients are getting great results. It's not necessarily a cure to autoimmune disease by any means. However, I'll get to the very end when I can tell you like my success story. I'm on 3 supplements, right? 3 supplements. I don't take any major medication for my thyroid disease. I'm going to the bathroom once and maybe twice a day. And therefore my mood is better. My energy is high. And I just feel like I am living my best life. And I do believe it's because of the things that we put in our body. And sometimes we can't treat ourselves with food. Sometimes we do need that support from supplements. So that's how we met. And I can't wait. Lisa, I want you to just take it away because my clients, my fans, they know me, but they don't know you. And you're such a sweetheart. So tell us a little bit about your own health journey and how you kind of got involved with these products and what they've done for you.
Sure. Well, thanks, first of all, for having me on. I'm Lisa, and I am the mom of 4 sons. And my health journey really started when I had 3 of those sons in 3 years, 3 calendar years. So it's a lot of babies and nursing and crazy body, up and down weight. I had struggled with my thyroid health since I was like 20. So my thyroid, maybe even before that, that's just when I was diagnosed. So exhaustion is probably not even a word, like that even describes where I was. I sat across from a natural doctor who told my husband and I on our anniversary, you are going to die. It was like, your adrenal glands no longer work. You're up all night. You're up all day. You're nursing. It was madness. And so my husband kind of was like, what? And that really started our journey for natural health. I was doing a lot of the food. I wasn't doing the rest, but really for me, what I started doing is looking for products that would support my body naturally. That was what I was looking for, plant-based products that would support me. And ultimately I found these products. I started really simply with the 3 products that you started with as well. And I was able to have dairy again. I was able to have digestion. I was going to the bathroom. My migraine headache stopped. I had a lot of, it pretty much lived on ibuprofen. Mm-hmm. So it literally from probably years. I mean, that is not a way to live. It is so bad for your kidneys, so bad for your liver, but there wasn't any way around it. Like every night every day I would crave caffeine, and every night I would have a caffeine headache before. And so it was, caffeine and then ibuprofen, and caffeine and ibuprofen. And anyway, a lot of body aches and pain and inflammation. And I mean, you name it, things were going on. So yeah, so that's really, and ultimately I found the products. I am sleeping now. I do have energy. I'm able to homeschool my 4 boys and do our life, and was a basketball mom this year. And so just all the things that you want to be able to do with your kids. And I have the energy and the wherewithal to do those now.
I think that's the biggest key factor. I mean, obviously, and we're going to learn so much about the gut here in a little bit on how it is linked to our mental health and our immunity. But as someone who's just personally gone through it, like with Hashimoto's, personally, that doctor was always like, oh, how's the energy? How's the energy? And years ago, I was like, it's fine. Like, I'm a high energetic person. Like, I, in fact, need to probably bring it down. And I could never imagine a life that I was like, I was like, no, I can't even imagine a life that doesn't have energy in it. Like, I've always just had a lot of it. And I said I was an extrovert and I just bounced all over the place. But until this last like 6 or 7 months. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting to feel maybe that, that lack of energy. And it's easy to think, right? A lot of women that, I work with, they're all entrepreneurs, right? We're all busy hustling babes, trying to do it and make our own and take care of the kids and balance church things and all kinds of things where we're just like, oh, just me a long day. And I'm recognizing and honoring my body. Like, I'm actually kind of tired today. And instead of hustling and pushing through, I recognize that. And I just simply take a nap, and 20 minutes later, I'm good to go. Like, it's like my phone, right? Replug me back in, charge me up, and get me going. But the supplements are helping me, kind of get that natural energy back that I was craving. Cause I was like, I don't even like coffee a lot. I don't want to be it's like, ugh. So I do absolutely agree with you that, the energy was probably sucking, as most of us ladies dry, is like not having enough of it. And just feeling all kinds of off. Like, who would think that our gut would have anything to do with how we feel mentally and emotionally and spiritually and like everything. But I do believe that a healthy gut does lead to a healthy life. So I think the biggest question that I had, and that a lot of my clients have, is that what is the role of the gut? Right? Like, there's so much information out there. So just break it down, like what the real goal of, or the role of the gut is for us.
Sure. So first of all, let's just talk about what is the gut. So, we hear that term all the time, and your gut is really your gastrointestinal tract. So it really starts from the back of your throat and goes all the way down. And it's where from the food, the nourishment is pulled. So it's the absorption, it's the digestion, it's all the things. It includes the stomach, it includes the small and large intestines, and really starts even in the mouth. And so it can be a really, really big deal if it's not working. And as we go through the not working, we find that a lot of other things happen because of that. So your microbiome is the good guys and the bad guys that are in your gut. So you have helpful and non-helpful bacteria that need to be balanced. And we naturally have unhealthy bacteria in our gut. Like, there's no way around that. In fact, like, this is a little known fact, little side note here, Jeopardy. When we are born and we move through our mother's birth canal, we actually get the first good bacteria like on us. And some of that goes in our nose and some of it goes in our mouth. And it actually ultimately goes to our gut where we have good bacteria. So this doesn't mean, like, if you're born C-section, you can't ever have good bacteria, but it actually starts at birth. And then what we ingest and what we, like, all the things, what we're around in our environment, just like all the things, the stress, all of those things affect the microbiome. And so what we want to do is weed out the bad guys and seed in the good guys, so to speak, the good microbiome, to really balance that microbiome out in our gut. And just so many people don't have that. 95% of our serotonin is actually produced in our gut. So that's going to be the calm, the feel good hormone, the everything's all right hormone. A lot of us have really had, over the last year, especially, have really not felt that. have not felt that, and everybody, I mean, so many people I talk to, not everybody, but so many people I talk to do not have good gut health, and they're always, anxiety is super high, stress is super high, and they don't have serotonin. It's not being made in the brain, it's being made in their gut, and with an unhealthy gut, it's not being made. And so that's the emotional, the spiritual even aspects that are involved in your gut. It's not there because your gut is not healthy.
So what, if I could pause you here for a minute, what
Yeah.
would be some signs of an unhealthy gut?
So again, the high anxiety, the not being able to calm down, like you sit down at the end of the day and you just can't stop. Like your mind is going, even if your body is exhausted. There's a lot of like technical terms that I, like we're not diving here, right? But just that jittery feeling, that unable to be calm, that I can't go to sleep, that I can't settle down feeling in your mind.
Right.
But happening in your mind. It's not your brain that's producing the serotonin. It's actually your gut that's producing the serotonin. So we don't, that's a weird thing for us, but it is actually a gut issue, not a mental issue. And I think so many people are put on, antidepressants or things that will affect their brain. Mm-hmm. That isn't always where the problem is. And so my gut reaction, my first reaction for people is to get your gut in order. And again, I'm not telling people to go off their antidepressants if they've, diagnosed with something. But oftentimes with the anxiety, with, postpartum depression, again, anxiety, panic attacks, those are things that are happening in the gut, not in the. And so that's a big deal for people, especially with all the crazy we've been going through, that we need to keep our guts healthy. Diet, stress, not sleeping, all of those things affect our gut. Again, that seems like a really weird thing for people to understand, but it kills off and makes an environment where the good microbiome is not able to live. And the bad guys just keep growing and growing. Things like bad yeast and like candida and just things like that are gonna, and we saw the eczema, the skin hair issues. Again, those are from overgrowth of yeast in your body. And it doesn't have to be really any skin issue is almost always either yeast or a bacteria. So if you have, a son is fighting acne or a child is doing, has eczema on their skin anywhere, it's probably either bacteria or yeast. And both of those things can be fixed with the gut.
I would agree there. And as the health, as a health coach and someone who's done a ton of research with food, every time I see someone, and they're like, oh my gosh, my kid has terrible eczema, I'm always like, well, let's check two things really quick. Like, how's his digestion? How's his gut health? And how's his food? Because I always say, like, skin issues are major issues of either, like something not getting nourished within the food. So I'm like, food is medicine, y'all. Like, you can literally cure yourself with food. But there are things that are just above, like you mentioned yeast, and I had no idea. You were the first one to ever like back that up. You're like, oh, your eyes itch. Oh, you have eczema over your head. Like, that's actually a yeast thing. I'm like, say what? I was like, I've always had yeast infections and stuff like that. And I'm like, I would have never thought. And all of these amazing doctors, right, that I saw, they're like, they never once said that. They're like, oh, it's allergies, take these eye steroids. Or, like, my vision felt so bad for so long because I would itch them at night or whatnot. And then I would wake up and again, they would just serve you more steroids, something to cover up, and get you through the day per se, like a Band-Aid. But it wasn't until, again, between the supplements and then proper eating, I'm like, my eyes haven't itched. They've been clearer than ever. And I'm like, when you could put makeup on and it not stick to the eyelids because they're swollen and poofy, I'm like, yay, it's a good day. Which is so sad, but I had no idea that it was a yeast overgrowth, and so that was really huge because anytime I would get sick when I was little, they would always put me on an antibiotic, and then automatically I would get a yeast infection, and then they'd be like, well, just double up your yogurt. And then when life hit and they're like, well, you can't have dairy, I was like, well, now how am I supposed to figure this life out? So they really have, I'm telling you, they really have been a godsend to me. Okay, cool. So I didn't realize, I just learned that the gut is kind of like from here down, right? And I knew that. So we have this big gut kind of takes care of lots of things. Within the gut, you're telling me there's like this microbiome that has like good bacteria and bad bacteria, just to kind of keep things simple for me. So how can you help the microbiome? I know you said, weed out some of the bad, feed in the good, but how can you help balance out your microbiome?
Sure. So if you're thinking, well, how do I know if I have bad microbiome?
Yeah.
Like, I have so many women who say, well, I don't get yeast infections. Awesome. I'm so glad. If this is going to sound kind of awful, but if your groin itches or your armpits itch, any of those things, like excessively, not like I have an itch, but like on a regular basis, you probably have a yeast overgrowth. If the tips of your fingers are red, but the rest of your hand is not, that you have a yeast overgrowth. Lots of things on the outside of your body that are telling you that you have a yeast overgrowth, even if you don't know it. Like if you don't know it, or if you don't have vaginal yeast infections, because that's the typical thing that people think about. Well, I have those or I don't. If you've taken antibiotics in your life, even as a child, it can take 2 to 3 years to get that back up and going. 2 to 3 years. So what an antibiotic does is it wipes out all of the guys, like the entire army, the good, the bad. And just like in your yard where the weeds come up before the grass does, the same happens, right? The bad guys are going to come out before the good guys. And so we have to put them in there. Yes, yeast has lactobacillus, right? It has one strand, and that's kind of the go-to for a lot of medical professionals. Have more yogurt. But typically, if yogurt has this much of 1 or 2 strands, by the time you get it, those are dead. There anymore. Like that level is probably not there. This is why so many probiotics have to be refrigerated, because they die. So we got to figure out a way that to where it needs to go and get the strands there. Also, different guts need more of different good guys and like that. But how do you know if your gut is not right if you don't have yeast infection? So big things would be like gas, bloating. Again, you're jittery, you have panic attacks, you have a high level of anxiety all the time, not being able to calm down. When you eat foods, your body kind of goes nuts. Maybe you have to run to the bathroom right away, or never going to the bathroom. Like those are all like immediate, oh, something's going on, right? Something's not. So how do we balance it out? We have to put good guys in there. We need to put good guys that will also wipe out the bad guys. So like our fighters, right? And so we need to be able to do that. So you hear a lot about probiotics and prebiotics, and what are those things? So your prebiotic is actually the food that your probiotics eat. Okay, so you're going to have probiotics in your gut, and then you're going to want to feed those to keep those guys alive. And that's what a prebiotic is. So we need both prebiotic fibers and we need probiotics that we want to keep, to keep the good guys going. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I've went through so many, because of course they tell you that. And they're like, well, yeah, just add some of those natural foods. And that's how I first started, because I didn't want to pump myself full of more medication for that, or expensive supplements or things. So I was like, yeah, but how much sauerkraut can a girl eat in one day? Like, really, come on. And how many pickles and all those things. And I'm like, I can't eat as much as I actually need. Like, it's one thing if it's on a level like 1, right? Maybe that would work. And kombucha drinks and all those things. But I'm like, I was doing it all and still not doing it. So I needed like a major clean out where it was like, yes, lots and lots and lots of good. And I honestly, I used to go to like TJ Maxx and pick out like a pre and probiotic. And I'm like, yeah, this one's good, right? And the next week they would not have it there. And I'm like, okay, I'll try this one. And like, I had no idea what I was even getting into. So I'm so glad that you have like some solutions for that. But yeah, it totally makes sense. I think a lot of women waste so much money on supplements that are like, okay, but who manufactured that? Like, how do you even know, just because it's only $6 today on the shelf and next week it'll be discounted because they need to get rid of it? And yeah, and some I've heard that I need to chill it, and some I don't. I'm like, gross, those are live bacteria. Why would I not want to chill it? I don't know. So to think about it all, it was just so overwhelming. And and I think that there are a lot of women out there that probably are like, I don't even know if I need that. Do I need it? It's kind of like collagen. I asked the same thing, and I know we're not talking about that, but there's a lot of over-the-counter collagens that are like powdered that I'm like, they're just the lowest grade form. So ladies, if you are putting stuff into your bodies, like I really want you to reevaluate what it is you're putting in. Like, do you know someone who can literally back it up and say, yes, it has helped me? You know, if you're just taking something that your friend told you, you know, to find at Walmart or TJ Maxx, like more than likely it's such a low grade of it that it's no wonder why your problems are still your problems.
Yes.
You know, honestly. And I want to touch base really quick because on the body's wisdom, and because you mentioned it a couple of times, like all of these different things, right? Red flags, like skin problems, eye problems, hair problems, weight problems, like mood problems, all these things. But I just want to ask anyone who's watching this, like if you've got all these problems, right, and everyone keeps giving you all their suggestions and tips and stuff, I just want you to like quiet everything down, and I want you to listen to your body, right? Like ask your body, what am I actually experiencing? You know, like what are my things? What's going on with me? And don't stop and settle at the next diagnosis of here's 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen, or, you know, like here's a steroid to put on that, you know, that itch, psoriasis, all of those things can be helped, you know, by getting your gut health back on track. So, yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. So it kind of reminds me of like, we've all now take our immunity, like in our health, super serious. COVID was beautiful for the fact that now we all value and prioritize taking care of ourselves a little bit more. And I know I'm rarely sick, like rarely, and I think it is because I take great care of myself. But you know, I do believe that these having that healthy gut now is helping me fight off a lot of things. So tell us a little bit about how a healthy gut impacts your immunity, and then even your mental game. Because a lot of them are like, I'm so moody, I'm so irritable, and they're tired. Like, how does your gut really affect all that?
Sure. So I think with immunity, it's really big because, again, your immune system is mostly in your gut.
Oh,
You know, we're all sanitizing and wishing, but the true immune system is in. That's where you're going to fight the bad guys that come in, all the invaders that are coming in. That's going to happen anywhere from, again, 70, depending on the person, up to 80% is the immune system is actually in your gut. And I keep reading different numbers. So I'm kind of giving you, you know, again, everybody is different. So my body's different than Carissa's and what she needs and those types of things. I do want to not gloss over before we go on the power of food, because I know that's one of your focuses and that's been one of our focuses. You can't eat crap and have your gut do well. Like, it's not. It used to be fermented foods and gravies and sauces were on everything. And so people didn't have the types of issues that we have now. And so I just can't say that enough. Like, food is important. We have to take care of our bodies. And along with that, our blood sugar balance is huge. So, and really, I think that's where our mood is so we have serotonin that's being produced in the gut, but that blood sugar balance. So we have type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and they're actually calling insulin resistance type 3 diabetes. And so basically, as we're all getting older, and no one's going to talk about age here today, but as we get older, our body produces a certain amount of insulin when we have something like a cookie, right? So we have cookie, the sugar goes up, the insulin has to go up. But over time, what happens is we build a resistance to that insulin. So we have a cookie and our sugar goes up, and then we have to have even more insulin to cover the effects of the cookie. Right. And so insulin resistant means our body is less and less resistant to our natural insulin that we have. So if we can balance our blood sugar, so we don't have cookie down, we're going to be able to balance our hormones. Insulin is a master hormone and all of our other hormones follow it. So if you have crazy moods before your period, if you have crazy cramps, if you have, you know, crazy bleeding and those types of things, or 1 month it's massive and the next month there's none, and then the next month it's your body's not balanced. And you should not be having 3 days in bed. Your teenage daughter should not be having 3 days. I remember as a girl, like just barely making it to school on you know, and starting my period days. So I can't say that strongly enough, because our reproductive cycles should not be nuts. They should not be cramping so much, and, you know, 3 days of ibuprofen on both, whatever. And that's that's going to be a blood sugar balance. And that helps our gut, and that helps every other system in our body. So I just want to throw that in there, because we are trying to eat good diets, but we're not going to have perfect, right? So we had pizza last night for the basketball team. And, so we have the sugar and the gluten and the, whatever. And then if you have sugary drinks like the Kool-Aid or Gatorade, you're off, right? And so what did I do? I came home and had my blood sugar balance drink again, just to get everything settled out, because I know that, this month sometime I'll have a period, and I want that to not be crazy, and I don't want it, and I don't want, whatever. So so continuing to do that really helps us be healthy, because we have an up and down of estrogen and up and down of progesterone. And so we want to have those balanced as well. All of our hormones. If you are going nuts on your kids, your blood sugar is probably not balanced. If you are screaming at your significant other, your blood sugar is probably not balanced. And so you don't have to have, a Coca-Cola habit or a coffee habit or whatever to keep you really can have a balanced gut and a balanced life. Like, I can't say that enough about mood, because I was there. And anyway, so that was not a good time, because crazy. But anyway, so that definitely affects your mental health. The serotonin being produced in your gut definitely is going to help things feel just better. You're going to feel calmer. You're not going to be having panic attacks. You're not going to be having mood swings. But yeah, so those definitely go hand in hand. I think the three biggest things for us getting unhealthy are inflammation in our body, our blood sugar balance, and then our gut health. Those are the three major byproducts that we see when we look at disease in our culture and in our community. Those are the three things: the inflammation, the blood sugar balance, and the poor gut health. Those are the biggest things. And pretty much any disease you have is affected by those things. So including, the major ones, diabetes and cancer and those types of things are affected by those three areas.
Yeah. And that's a great point. And then it brings me to like mental health or immunity on the inside, because we all protect it. But a lot of the women, right, they all come to me and they want to predominantly lose body fat. They want to put on some lean muscle because they want to look toned, right? They want to feel sexy and toned. And so it's not just about, they're like, well, cool. Like, I've been on this diet and I've been working out like crazy. And then I'm like, okay, well, how's the gut too? Because our gut health also affects our weight loss. So can you touch a little bit on that? Because I know there's a lot of women that are like, they stick to their diets, and I'm anti-diet, FYI. And I'm also anti, like, let's ditch all the cardio and like strength train, because there's so many benefits there. But how does our gut health affect our if we're actually trying to lose some weight?
Sure. So first thing I will say is that your body's main concern is not to lose weight. Like, I can't say that loud enough. Like, your body does not want to lose weight. Your mind might want to. You might want to. You might look in the mirror and think I need to, but your body does not care about losing weight. That is not its first priority. When you start taking any kind of supplement, your body's first priority is to get healthy. And once you get your gut healthy, then it can shed the extra pounds, right? That's a lot to do with blood sugar balance. And so if you have crazy sugar all over the place, your body is storing it on the back of the arms. It's storing it on the front of your belly. So see older women, they get that pouch right below their belly button, and they get the flabby arms. That's where your body stores when it has insulin resistance. So if that's you, your body is needing to get its blood sugar balanced. And then your body's like, okay, we'll let go of that, right? We'll start to get toned. And for so many people, you just see it and you're like, oh, blood sugar, even if I've never even met, like, I can look at someone and say, they probably have blood sugar issues and they need help. Because ultimately it's going to lead to that type 3 diabetes, that insulin resistance, that also ultimately will be, they will not be able to maintain a lifestyle that they want, the energy, the mood, the immunity, and all of the things. So, so yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny how you look for the blood sugar, right? Like you can kind of spot that.
Mhm.
The biggest, like I can spot a woman who has high levels of stress because typically stress fat accumulates around our bellies. So yeah, it's like the women with, like thinner legs, thinner arms, and then like that little tire that kind of, like those love handles. I'm like, okay, that's stress, right? Whether like that's just where it likes to store it. And that's the scariest type of fat when we think about that. And because it is surrounded, around our organs and stuff. And it's the most spot that it's like so hard to hide. I'm like, I could have hide my bat wings if I had them, but it's so hard to hide my belly fat. And yeah, so it's like I can always spot someone who's a high chronic stressor, like always, like their fight or flights, it's always on, they're always producing chemicals. And then again, like our bodies are such science, it's like amazing that so much is produced in our gut, and so many, and then how it affects the way everything works. It's insane.
Absolutely.
So,
And I really think what you tagged on there is high high stress often comes from people who don't have balanced blood sugar. So if you've ever seen someone who like needs a cup of coffee, I have to have a, it's like that person. Typically blood sugar is off. If you wake up in the morning and you have to if you're jittery, your blood sugar is probably low, right? Throughout the day, it should be neither low nor high. So oftentimes we're very concerned about blood sugar that's high, but blood sugar that's low is also problematic. We want to, again, we want to balance that blood sugar throughout the day. And that's going to help with stress, which you are exactly right. High stress people hold that weight in the middle. It's like the tire you can't get rid of. And it's really hard to get rid of it, right?
it is.
Because if we've had babies, our belly goes in and out and in and out and whatever, and then so it's looser, and so we do tend to store our stress and our unbalanced blood sugar heavy.
Yeah.
So that becomes a challenge area. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your last question. So we talked about the mental health, we talked about the immunity. Again, inflammation is going to cause pain in the body, and so all of those things, again, are reactive to the gut and what's going on in the body. We did not talk about leaky gut, which is kind of a like bounce around. People are talking about leaky gut. And in short, what happens is the wall of your gut begins to divide, and the things that are inside your gut, which should never leave, whether that's the good microbiome guys, the bad ones, or food, actually slip out through your actual walls of your gut lining and get into your blood system. So if you, I actually met a woman who was a client, and she was down to just sweet potatoes. She was allergic to everything else, and she was down to sweet potatoes. And I really thought she was going to pass away. Like she was in the emergency room 3 times a week, and we were down to sweet potatoes. And getting her gut healthy, she now has a full active life with her 4 kids. She eats whatever she wants. I know. Yay. So it really does matter. But she had a leaky gut. And as things passed, she ate things. And then within 3 to 5 days, because they were passing out of the body and somewhere else in her body, the white blood cells were attacking that food, making her allergic to it. And so if you see someone who can't have this and they can't have this, and it just keeps getting a smaller window of food, they have leaky gut. And that affects all parts of your body, because things that should never leave go to the brain, they go to the heart, they go to other organs and attack those organs. And so it becomes a very unhealthy person is a person who has leaky gut. Even that's thrown around as, oh, you have leaky gut. It's a really, really big deal. And we need to get our gut in order. And so probiotics help to close the gap. They help to heal the walls of the lining and to close the gap of the actual tubes.
I was just going to ask you that, because I love when I've seen that demonstration before from you. And because, I was like, I've never even, like, I've heard of it. We've all heard of it unless we have it. And I remember the first time I heard that, and I was like, I wonder if I have leaky gut, because every new food sensitivity was like, now you can't have this, you can't have this. And I was like, what the? I remember when you're like, well, what do you eat? I was like, veggies and lean meats. Like there's no gluten, there's like 0 eggs, high lactine. So even when you go off the gluten stuff, you're like, cool, I'll just eat a lot of rice. And then there was like, well, no rice. I'm like, well, what is no corn? Like all these things, felt like I was being like taken away from me. And it was a very lonely place. I was like, nobody even understands my food. And it just felt so lonely. But I feel like I'm like, I do still try and stay away from that gluten and the eggs. I mean, but I kind of feel like my supplements are like a superpower, because every now and then, I mean, it's not fun restricting yourself like that. And instead of like, I like having something in my body that says, okay, well, you had a little bit of eggs or dairy, and we're going to protect you still. You'll be okay. And because I remember you saying, well, yeah, now I can eat that stuff. I'm like, wouldn't it be amazing if I could eat eggs again? Like, that would be so happy. It'd make me happy. And so I just keep open for that day where I like just keep sliding a little bit more and keep testing it. Because it is important. But yeah, I remember thinking, do I have leaky gut? Because I'm like, this
You probably do. You probably did. And I wasn't going to like say, you know, I'm not diagnosing you,
yeah.
but I do, when you see people who can't have this food group and then this one and this one, and that's the reason why. I will say, we've talked about this before, but your issues did not start overnight.
No.
And our guts do not heal overnight. I mean, you might have just this little gap that's left here, or, you know, a little one down here, whatever, and that's going to take time, sometimes years, to heal, because you didn't get unhealthy overnight, and you're not going to get healthy overnight. Yeah. That's realistic. Any person that tells you, oh, just take this magic, whatever, and you'll be healed tomorrow, that's a lie.
Yeah. Run away.
Yes, run fast. It doesn't matter how cheap or how expensive it is. It does not work. There is nothing that will heal our bodies overnight, because like you said, they're amazing, and they can heal, but they don't heal overnight.
Yeah. One last thing, and then I definitely want to dive into some supplements and give these ladies that are listening some amazing ways to help get their microbiome and their gut back into that healthy realm. Because again, women will call me and they say, Chris, I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, awesome. When do you want to do it by? And she's like, well, I have my vacation in a month. And I'm like, you're not going to lose it with me, because I'm not about quick, stupid, fast results. I'm more long-term stability type thing. But yeah, I'm like, my biggest thing I like to say is, okay, well, your body is not Amazon Prime. You cannot order what you want and in 2 days get it. So it didn't happen overnight. We're not going to lose it overnight, but I promise you we can lose it. So with that, let's talk supplements. I love talking. I personally, I've only taken the 3, and then I just recently started taking a 4th. I don't have an example of that, but I know Lisa will be able to at least explain that. But let's talk about like what your solid system is, that what you put me on, because I believe like that's the magical pill. Like that's what I'm telling people. Like it's not going to happen overnight, ladies. And in fact, I went through a lot of crap to finally figure out my perfect mixture, but I am going to the bathroom and I'm happy and I'm healthy and I'm thriving. So let's talk subs.
Okay. So the first thing I would say is, let's talk about the bathroom, right? So we should be going to the bathroom once, twice, sometimes even 3 times a day, but not diarrhea. So I'm going to talk about poop for a little bit. So
sure,
everybody,
let's do it.
I have 4 kids and we've done a lot of poop stuff. So realistically, we ingest food 3 to 5 times a day, depending on how many mini meals you have or how many big meals. And you should be, there is nowhere for the what's left over to go until you go to the bathroom. Right. So I know Chris has talked about this, like, I burned it off because no, you didn't. Like, it's being stored in there. The average American holds anywhere from 12 to 16 pounds of feces in their, it's grossness, right?
That was me.
Around poop. And so if you want to lose 20 pounds, get your digestive system working, right? What's one of the top levels of cancer in our country? Colon cancer. Why do you think that is? Because food is stored there and it grows nasty stuff, right? We keep going to the bathroom. We should be going to the bathroom. Input, output, right? And we've talked about this a lot because that was a goal for her, is to go to the bathroom every day. The supplement that we have is called BioCleanse. It has magnesium. It has vitamin C. There she goes. She's going and basically you take the product. That's it, right? I won't say everyone. Everyone needs vitamin C. And the majority of women in the US are magnesium deficient. And so all you have to do is go in and Google magnesium deficiency, and you're going to have some symptoms. Like we all had them if you're not taking a magnesium supplement. So I love that product just simply for getting things moving. It's kind of the flush of the intestines. So if you think about like your bathroom, it's the flush. So we're just getting things out, we're cleaning things up, and then we're also helping our immune system, right? Because the vitamin C and magnesium are going to help with that.
Yeah.
The next product, this is a pill form. You can start with 1 of them. People go up to 4. I have a sweet friend, and she had migraines, and this system also helped her end her migraines. She was doing 15 to 20 migraines a month in bed, vomiting, couldn't plan
Like
her.
major migraines. Oh,
And
poor
yeah,
thing.
and this, yeah, it was a major deal. And she just said, I will never leave these products because I don't have those anymore. And she said, I get a couple headachy days a month, but it's not what it was. So anyway, so the other pill product we have is Probiotic. It's got 5 probiotic strands and enzymes. Love this product. Of all the products that we sell, this is my very, very favorite because it allowed me to have dairy. I'm just to be real honest. Had my ice cream once in a while again. Basically, there are enzymes. We can go into all the technical details if you want ingredients, but there are enzymes in it that actually break down the biofilm. So biofilm is your own skin cells that hide the bad guys in them. Every disease you've ever had, so you had chickenpox as a kid, there's chickenpox in there, and they hide along the walls of your intestines. Basically, what this does is it breaks down the biofilm. So it's the scrub brush of the intestine, and your BioCleanse actually flushes those things out. So it's cleansing, right? It's weeding out the bad, and then it's also seeding in the good. So it's got the good probiotics that you need. They are freeze dried. So we talked about, like, you don't have to put them in the refrigerator. You don't, I mean, I had the $100 refrigerator probiotic. These aren't near that. And they refrigerated. So that's great too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it definitely.
love those.
And it mentions, it says, and I know you know this, but it says it helps keep intestinal yeast in balance. Is that why that we can have some of those food groups back again, is because it's controlling the yeast?
I believe it is. And it's actually helping to heal the wall of the intestines. So
Yep, said that too. Cool. Yeah, so personally, I know, just because there's a lot of people and even clients that are like, when do you take it? And I've even asked her questions. Personally, I take the Prebio 5 after dinner, and then I take the Bio Cleanse in the morning. So that's just how, I think you said you could take them together if you wanted to. I break them up, but yeah. So in the morning, literally when I went from like 20 pills, like 8 to 10 at every meal, this is literally like 3 in the morning. And for me, 3, and then every other day is 3 or 4. And then 3 at night. And then amongst like, I take a vitamin B and things, others, multivitamins. But besides that, like, I'm no longer on all those other supplements. And I'm like, it's so easy. Like on Sunday, I just pull 2 things out. And I'm like, instead of like the whole cabinet. So yeah, anyways, I'll let you keep going. But yeah, that's how I take mine.
Yeah. So the other product, because there's only 3 that we're going to talk about, it's slim, and it's a packet, and you literally rip open the top, put it in a water bottle. You can make it in, like, I've been drinking water the whole time. You can make it in like the jumbo size, or you can do it in like the regular water bottle, from this, whatever you're doing. And you shake it, drink it, the end. So simple. You can drink it in the morning first thing. A lot of people do this if they're trying to lose weight. I drink mine between like 2 and 3 in the afternoon, when I would have that natural like lull in my day. I love it. Drink it every day. Simple. So they're plant-based. The Slim has lots of good ingredients. Again, we could go into that for quite a while, but one of the ones that's most important to me is alpha lipoic acid. So again, you can Google that and all the good things it does, but it detoxes the fatty tissues of your body, and our brain is actually the fattiest, and so it's going to detox our brain. And for me, that's really important. Looking down the line, I have lots of brain health issues in the older members of my family, and so I really want to keep my brain as healthy as it can, detox it, get rid of heavy metals, get rid of the junk that's being stored there, to really have the healthiest brain that I can. Helps with attention and focus. It's not an energy drink. That's not what we're doing here. Right. The thing is that it balances out your blood sugar. So as we talked about, the up and down, up and down, up and down. If you have a soda and a couple hours later you crash, your sugar and everything went up, and then you crashed, and then you need a nap, right? I don't need a nap anymore. I'm a super high energy person, but I don't take naps. And over time, I did it first maybe, but over time I've gotten to the place where my blood sugar balances out. I don't need a nap. And not that I never take care of myself or take a nap, but I don't need a nap.
Right. We've all been there where we're like, I literally need a nap. I'm going to fall asleep at my desk or driving or whatever. And there is a big difference of like, okay, do I just need to slow down and relax? So this is the thing that you were saying earlier, that if you had something sugary the night before, like the pizza, you knew your your blood sugar was going to be a
Right.
little off. So you
Right.
made sure, I mean, you obviously, me and you, we take this every day, just to
Yes.
keep us. It's not, you don't recommend jumping,
I
obviously.
don't. I
Yeah.
don't because again, if insulin is a master hormone, it needs to affect the estrogen and the progesterone in my body. I mean, I've gone from not even knowing, well, really serious, intense periods to not even knowing I've started. And I'm like, oh, what day is it? Where are we? And so that I feel like that's a really big thing. And because so many people suffer with really intense menstrual cycles that we don't have to. We really don't have to suffer. And again, we don't need to throw a drug at it. We don't need to throw, we can just balance out our blood sugar, balance out our insulin, which is going to be able to balance out those other hormones. It's going to balance out our moods. It's going to make us feel more steady and calm. So I just really appreciate those 3 products. I know you've also taken, we actually have a second probiotic. It has 8 probiotics in it, different strands. And those are designed for mood. So if someone is really having trouble with their mood up and down, they can't get that serotonin production, that probiotic is set out for that possibility. Some people use them as digestive enzymes. So if you've been taking digestive enzymes or having a lot of trouble with them, you can take that probiotic with food and it helps break those down. For mood, you take it away from food. So I really appreciate both of those. Just allowing our bodies to do what they were made to do, right? To function in the way that they were supposed to. So we can have strong immune systems. We can have steady mental health, and we really can have reduced inflammation, and we don't have to hurt. You know, so many people think as they get older, their body just hurts. You don't have to have that. Because we really can break down the proteins in the blood that cause inflammation. So we have lots of great products. But I do appreciate about this company is we're not just throwing products at you to try and see how they work. It really is about having people come along beside you. And Carissa mentioned, like, I needed to tweak these to get them right for me. And so we really need that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, right? Like I've been on multiple types of medication, ADD, or all kinds of things where they're like, okay, so this dose doesn't work. I'll tweak. We have to find the dosage, if you will. We have to find it. And that's what I love. So like we talked about some education. We gave you a lot of information about the gut and poop and all kinds of awesome, fun things that most women don't tend to talk about, but totally need to. And now you've heard all that and you're like, yes, I'm so glad I listened to it. And we talked about the sups that I personally love and Lisa love. So what's the best way? So if you have some major digestive issues going on, good or bad, you know, like whatever it is, if you're listening and you're like, okay, I definitely fit, like I could check some of those check marks, and you're like, now what? So the best way, honestly, to get in front of some quality products and supplements. And I am not a coach that is just out preaching products. Like I don't do that normally. I wouldn't even normally have like, I wouldn't include this in my own personal coaching program if I didn't 100% believe in it. But the cool thing, like I mentioned earlier, is that you need a coach to walk beside you. So not only do you get these amazing supplements that are going to help clean up your GI tract and your microbiome and things and get you healthy on the inside so that you can truly thrive on the outside, but you're going to get a coach, right? You're going to be like, how's it going? What's going well? How do we need to tweak it? Maybe this is off for you. Maybe blah, blah, blah. Like all those things that, again, that I didn't even realize was a yeast problem. And I'm like, holy smoly, that's so cool. So I even learned all kinds of things with my coach, and Lisa's my coach. So yeah, if you're like, yes, I kind of need this, or I just kind of want to have another conversation about that, I would definitely recommend either setting up a private, like a quick 15-minute clarity call with me to even see if this is something that, you could benefit from. And if that's the case, then Lisa and I will both kind of get on the phone with you and really talk about your goals. Remember, she mentioned, like, my goal was literally like, just get me to go to the bathroom once a day. Is that too much to ask? And she's like, no, actually. And everything else kind of came with it. I'm like, okay, now my goal is to eat a little bit of dairy or gluten every now and then. So, if you're interested in that, I think the first the first conversation just can happen simply over the phone or on one of our coaching calls. We can talk about it. And if I do believe that this could, these products could help you, then me and Lisa are happy to hop on and just kind of, answer any other questions specifically around your goals that you're trying to do. And if that's the case, and if we do think that these products will work for you, then we can talk about what's next. But it's not our job to throw more stuff down your throat. Like, it's not our job to tell you what's right and what's wrong. It's our job to get curious, though, and to ask why it is you're experiencing that. And it's our job to kind of help guide you where we have already seen amazing clients get really great results with this. So, Lisa, I want to thank you for joining me. You've been fabulous. It's like we could literally talk hours about digestion and gut health. And it is so funny because every time I tell someone my gut health story, and I'm like, literally, I was going like once every 2 weeks. They're like, oh, gross. But what women actually will say is they're like, oh, I actually have that problem too. Like, nobody wants to, even my own doctor was like, how is everything? I'm like, oh, it's good, right? Like, we don't know what we don't know. And now you know. So now it's your job to either recognize that you have an unhealthy gut, or it's your job to be like, cool, everything is working and a-okay. Something might, whatever it is I'm doing is working, and that's totally fine too. So we hope you enjoyed today's kind of little educational gut health class on the microbiome and the gut health, and then some healthy supplements along the way. If y'all have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We are here to help you. Bye, guys.